it's used by business owners and website owners to understand the traffic that comes to their websites. So essentially, once you sign up for your Google Analytics account, you're given a bit of code, and you embed that code into various your web pages. Then you can log in and you can see like who's coming to my website, what are they doing, and really it's essentially a tool for search engine optimization. The goal of the web is to show up number one in Google Organic. So then you'll tweak your website a bit. You'll look at your analytics, see if you're showing up on the first page of Google. If not, you can use those analytics to keep playing around and try to end up on the first page of Google.
Are you a member of any professional organizations?
I'm a member of the International Trademark Association. That is an organization. They're actually having their annual conference here in D.C., so I'm popping back and forth to that. I'm on their right of publicity panel. I just gave a presentation on Monday. I'm a non-attorney member of the American Bar Association. I'm on their Copyright and Social Media Committee.
Your Honor, at this point, plaintiff would offer Mr. Banya as an expert in internet and social media analytics.
All right, any objection? All right, so moved. Thank you.
Mr. Banya, what were you asked to do in this case?
I was asked to analyze the impact of the allegations of domestic abuse made by Ms. Heard as it relates to her 2016 restraining order, and then asked to also analyze the republication of that alleged abuse in her 2018 Washington Post op-ed.
What work have you done in connection with forming your opinions relative to that?
So I identified the best tools to use in this case, which are Q-scores, Google Trends, and historic Google search results.
You used a few terms in there. I just want to break them down a little bit. What's a Q-score?
A Q-score is there's a Q-score company that's been around for about 50 years, and what they do is they measure how well a brand or a celebrity or sports character is known and how much they're liked, and they also measure how much they're disliked.
Who else besides you uses Q-scores?
Q-scores are used by any company that, organizations that license in a celebrity or a brand to endorse their product or service. The PGA Golf Tour is actually using Q-scores right now. They're using Q-scores in Google search results. They have a pool of $40 million that they're doling out to their players. So depending on their Google search results and their Q-scores and other metrics, I'm sure they're using those to divide up that pool of money.
And I think you also mentioned Google Trends. What's that?
Yeah, Google Trends is another service offered by Google. As we know, everything starts with a Google search these days. There's 5 billion daily searches on Google. And Google Trends allows a user like me or you to go into Google Trends and analyze search traffic for various key terms, anything you really want. Maybe there's a new football player and you want to see how that football player is trending compared to the team over time, or maybe something related to Ukraine, or maybe a celebrity. So Google Trends just shows you what kind of search volume is happening during various points of time.
What are historical Google search results?
So historical Google search results are using Google. There's actually an area where you can go back in time and see what was showing up in Google during that time. And it's really the best indication of what websites would have appeared back in time. Oftentimes, working with my monetization clients, we want to know, hey, how were you ranking years ago for your branded service or your branded company? It will go back in time and look, and then in litigation, we're always going back in time, so we want to figure out what was most likely happening, what websites were served back then. And when you know what websites were served back then, you typically know what people were reading and thinking about.
Why did you choose these particular tools for your analysis in this case?
Well, the Q scores, I really thought it was the best idea to understand Mr. Depp's Q scores right before 2016, before the abuse allegations, just to see where he was at. Then I wanted to see his Q scores right after the 2016 alleged abuse allegations. And then I wanted to see his Q scores after the 2018 Washington Post op-ed, just to see if there was any changes during that period of time.
And what about your decision to use Google Trends and historical Google search results?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that like those two tools together were perfect because what I wanted to do is understand, as I mentioned, everyone's going to Google to figure things out. What were people when people Googled Johnny Depp prior to these alleged abuse allegations? What websites were coming up and what was the public consuming about him? Then I wanted to know that after, and then after the op-ed. So I used Google Trends just to identify the date in time, in which then I went into the historic Google search results. I searched for Mr. Depp, and then I changed those dates to go back in time, and then I analyzed the top 3 websites of each search.
Based on the analysis you did in this case, have you formed any opinions?
Yeah, my analysis shows that prior to 2016 and the allegations, the abuse allegations, Mr. Depp was not portrayed in a negative connotation. That's the first thing that I identified.
Did you form any other conclusions?
I realized that those websites that were coming up were mostly about his career, his characters, Johnny Depp as the individual, his interests. Then after the 2016 mark, the majority of those results turned into negative things about the abuse allegations. And then even more so after the op-ed, there seemed to be kind of a theme or a flavor of not only the abuse allegations, but his drinking and drug use. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Banya, have you prepared a demonstrative that depicts how you used Google Trends in this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like permission to approach. I have heard copies.
Clashers, and welcome to the Clan Capital. My name is Clash Bashing, and with me today are some of your favorite YouTubers and pro players.
Right. Golem is just incredible.
I love it.
Oh, the Baron the Archer is getting the capital horse.
Multi-border gonna work. This is the coolest mechanic.
No.
Surrounding the base. How are we gonna...
40,000.
40,000. What? That's right on! No, it's not enough!
It's not enough.
Not helping us to get this.
Archers,
I caught
get him in.
the mosquito. Go.
The ever-changing across the world. With Kumho Tire that has
Banya demonstrative A. And just for the record, we've marked these as plaintiffs 1236 for identification.
1236 for identification. Do you want to publish it to the jury?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And Mr. Banya, can you explain for the jury what is depicted in this demonstrative that you prepared?
Yes. So this is the Google Trends data. You're going to see that it runs from 2004 into 2020, and you're going to notice the different spikes. Those spikes represent when people were searching for Mr. Depp. You're going to also notice here I've got the red line just showing the date when Miss Heard filed the restraining order. Oh, yeah, can I write on this thing?
You can touch the screen, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, so here I'm talking about, in this line here, is just the date and time in which Ms. Heard alleged abuse and filed the restraining order. And then this line here is the December 18th, 2018 op-ed. And what I wanted to do is identify the peaks of interest in Mr. Depp. And you're going to notice here, I found 17 spikes of interest that I analyzed. And then the 51 key web pages we're going to get into later, I've analyzed the top 3 search results for each spike. And then here I analyzed the 7 spikes after, the 2016 allegations of abuse, and then again after the December 18th, 2018 op-ed.
Once you determined these spikes, the periods of significant interest in searches for Johnny Depp on Google, what did you do with that information?
So, again, the purpose of using Google Trends was just to understand when there's the most interest in Johnny Depp, because for some reason something was going on in the news, in the media. People are turning to Google to search for Mr. Depp. So then I went to my web browser, and then I searched for Johnny Depp in Google. But before I did so, I have a separate web browser. I call it my Workbench browser. I don't log into anything. It's important to be logged out of Google because Google keeps a profile on you, and your search results could be biased based on that profile. Then also when you go into a web browser, you have to clear your cache, you have to clear your history, clear all your data, and make sure you can get the most unbiased search results as possible. So I went into Google, I typed in Johnny Depp, and then I searched and set the time periods for the various points here that you see labeled with letters.
Do you have a demonstrative that shows an example of one of those points that you examined?
Yes.
Okay. Tom, could we go to the second Vanya demonstrative, please?
Yeah, so this is an example of, I believe it was spike or point O in the Google Trends. So what I did is I went into Google, I cleared everything as I told you, made sure I was logged out of Google. And here you're going to see I typed in Johnny Depp, I hit the search, and then what I did is went to this tool area, which pulls a drop-down area for the date, and I set the date to match the Google Trends spike of November of 2004. Then we had these top 3 websites that came up. I downloaded those websites, and then I analyzed them.
So did you undertake this analysis for each of the 17 points on the prior slide that we looked at?
Yes, correct.
And what did you do once you had your web page results, such as on this demonstrative?
You mean when I reviewed each web page?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I was looking for is, were these web pages or articles, did they have anything to do with the alleged abuse? Did they have anything to do with his alcohol, drug use? Did they have anything to do with his work ethic? So I basically, tried to understand, the content and of each website or article.
Did you look at all of the results that turned up when you ran these historical searches?
I only reviewed the top 3.
Why did you choose the top 3?
So I reviewed the top 3 because the research shows that about 50 to 75% of the people only click on the top 3. So I wanted to get the majority of the searches.
Tom, I think we can take that down for now. Thank you. What did you determine about the results that you found for the period prior to Ms. Heard's first allegations of abuse?
So I determined that Mr. Depp was not portrayed in any negative connotation. The web results were about his life and his career, his acting, his, pictures of him, relationships he was in, just pretty normal stuff.
And what did you determine about the top results after Ms. Heard's initial allegations in 2016 and then the republication in the op-ed in 2018?
Americans born before 1997 could qualify for no-cost dental crowns, implants, dentures, exams, and more. There's a brand new stimulus program that's providing Americans born before 1997 with dental care at little to no cost.